The atmosphere in Gotham grows tense as violence erupts. A significant incident has occurred involving Batman and the Rats, leading to increased hostility between law enforcement and the criminal group. The situation has resulted in casualties, including the loss of an interrogator named Marks. Alexandra Brackett reports on the 4th of July violence in Gotham. The city searches for the mysterious Rat King, a terrorist leader whose followers have brought chaos. The situation has escalated to involve hostage situations, with locations being marked in the city's sewer system. Investigation reveals a network of rat operations near the docks, including a distinctive Rat King sculpture serving as a meeting point. The infrastructure shows signs of hasty construction, with low-quality materials being used throughout their hideouts. The Rats' Manifesto emerges, revealing their ideology. They present themselves as having nothing to lose, while criticizing the police for their access to resources and military-grade equipment. Their plan involves turning these resources against the authorities. Tensions escalate as violent confrontations occur between law enforcement and the Rats. A mysterious day of wrath is mentioned, suggesting an impending large-scale event. The city descends further into chaos with widespread looting and street violence. A recovered document reveals the Rat King's plan. Their manifesto speaks of Gotham's inequality and announces a day of wrath scheduled to occur in 1 week, promising to destroy the city's pillars of power, the cops, courts, and prisons. Barbara Gordon provides intelligence about a key lieutenant called Shrike. Investigation of Shrike's sniper nest reveals crucial evidence, including fingerprints and chemical traces that could lead to tracking his location. Further investigation uncovers Shrike's background, revealing his radicalization in Blackgate prison. Evidence points to a larger conspiracy involving systematic attacks on Gotham's institutions, particularly targeting the criminal justice system. A series of photographs were discovered containing hidden numbers at various locations, including Solomon Wayne Courthouse, GCPD headquarters, and Blackgate Prison. The numbers found were 8, 1, and 4 respectively, appearing to target the justice system, police, and corrections. These numbers formed a passcode, 4118. A secret passage was discovered, similar to one connecting sewers with Bank of Gotham. Inside, nitrocellulose was found, initially suspected to be for bomb making. However, it was determined the chemical was actually being used to produce nitrate film stock for propaganda purposes. An editing room was located, but notably lacked a projector. A confrontation occurred involving the courthouse as a target, with Leslie and Harvey in danger. The situation escalated as attempts were made to prevent casualties and maintain control while adhering to legal boundaries during the response to the imminent threat. A critical situation developed at the courthouse involving Leslie and Harvey. Harvey was taken hostage by assailants with lethal intent. Shrike was identified with a high-caliber rifle, having previously targeted Gordon. A tactical approach was necessary to clear the area while avoiding detection. The confrontation reached its climax at Blackgate Prison, identified as the location of the Rat King. A decision was made to conduct an undercover operation within the prison to gather intelligence, as direct approaches had proven ineffective in extracting information about the organization's leadership. Blackgate Prison implemented enhanced security measures under Tiger operations. The administration made it clear that the facility focused on punishment rather than rehabilitation, with strict surveillance and control measures being enforced over the inmate population. Inside Blackgate, new alliances began forming as inmates were advised to seek protection. Falcone was identified as a potential source of security, though approaching him required caution. The prison yard became a crucial location for gathering intelligence and establishing connections. A conversation takes place regarding surveillance of Falcone and Captain Bolton, with someone offering assistance in eavesdropping on their discussions. Falcone expresses frustration about losing control in the prison, reminiscing about his former power. He complains about disrespect from prison staff and inmates, noting how 6 months ago, no one would have challenged him. The decline of his influence becomes apparent as even his name is being disrespected. Discussion centers on the Rat King threat, with speculation about an assassination attempt on Falcone. The Rat King appears to be targeting public officials in Gotham, though Falcone claims personal knowledge of the Rat King's identity and seeks protection. Falcone reveals knowledge of illegal weapons being smuggled into the prison, including heavy artillery and grenades. He attempts to negotiate for protection, requesting access to these weapons, but is denied. A new prisoner arrival introduces Harvey, who becomes a roommate. The scene shifts to a quiet moment watching television, specifically the Grey Ghost program. There is tension in the air as prison dynamics continue to evolve. Medical attention is provided for injuries sustained during prison conflicts. A strategic discussion occurs about approaching Falcone for information about the Rat King, with emphasis on methodology and moral considerations. A hidden facility is revealed, equipped with forensic equipment and training facilities. This serves as an operational base within the prison confines. Guard operations and prison security measures are discussed, with focus on maximum security protocols and prisoner management. The presence of various security measures and prisoner control systems is detailed. Security systems and infrastructure details are analyzed, including reinforced doors and barrier systems. Plans are formulated to bypass these security measures. Investigation reveals Otis Flanagan as potentially being the Rat King, with discussions about seeking additional information through official channels while maintaining operational security. Background information on Otis Flanagan details his history as a former pest control worker turned criminal, including his evolution into the rat catcher persona and subsequent imprisonment. A discussion about heroism reveals that being a hero involves more than just bravery and fighting monsters. While strength and confronting wrongdoers are important aspects, true heroism requires protecting and saving people. Heroes must demonstrate both courage in facing dangers and compassion in helping others. Evidence from Flanagan's cell reveals an eclectic collection of books on electronic engineering, rat biology, and psychotherapy from the prison library. Distinctive claw-like shoe prints are discovered, along with messages referencing cops, quartz, and clink, connecting Flanagan to the Rat King identity. The investigation leads to the prison library, identified as a potential location for gathering information about Flanagan's activities and his access to death row. The library serves as a quiet space for group therapy sessions and houses Flanagan's study materials. Historical background of Blackgate reveals its origins as a pirate's base established by Captain John Valor. The island later housed a monastery, with its chapel still standing and serving death row inmates. The structure's religious imagery, including depictions of Saint Michael, continues to provide spiritual comfort. A tense interaction between Dr. Quinzel and Dr. Crane reveals conflicting approaches to inmate therapy. While Quinzel advocates for art therapy and rehabilitation, Crane maintains a more clinical, hardline stance. The therapy group welcomes a new member and focuses on exploring psychological shadows and personal trauma. A secret passage reveals contraband operations within the prison. Access to death row requires a special code, which can be obtained through completing specific tasks. The underground network demonstrates the complexity of prison operations and informal power structures. A package delivery mission results in a violent confrontation with an inmate named Bird. Despite instructions to avoid violence, the situation escalates but ultimately leads to obtaining the death row access code 0529, valid until the next morning. The investigation concludes with preparations to examine the chapel in Death Row where Falcone was attacked. Evidence suggests Otis Flanagan has moved from his cell into the walls, operating in secret passages. The Rat King's influence has impacted both the GCPD and District Attorney's Office, threatening Gotham's criminal justice system. A forensic investigation of the chapel crime scene reveals inconsistencies with Flanagan's reported involvement. The evidence shows the attacker used a metal pipe and sack, striking Falcone from behind. Despite Falcone naming Flanagan, there are no prints matching him on the weapon, though he typically wears gloves. The altar appeared staged as a shrine to the Rat King after the assault. Analysis of footprints in spilled wax revealed 3 distinct sets, one from disposable shoe covers, another from Falcone's Italian loafers, and the third matching Flanagan's distinctive prints, but made after the initial attack. Evidence points to the attacker wearing a bulletproof vest, narrowing suspects to those with access to such equipment. Tiger security personnel emerge as prime suspects, given their access to both protective gear and the chapel. The investigation suggests Flanagan was framed for the assault. Flanagan reveals he discovered Falcone being attacked by head guard Bolton in the chapel. After Bolton completed the assault, Flanagan removed the bag from Falcone's head and called for help. This explains the significant damage to the pew, which required considerable strength. A confrontation reveals Bolton attacked Falcone as part of his extreme methodology for maintaining order in the prison. Bolton expresses disappointment in not being able to establish a more aggressive approach to controlling inmates. The situation escalates into violence. Decrypted files expose an illegal prison boxing operation with Bolton and Falcone as business partners before their relationship soured. Bolton has scheduled a special match, seemingly planning to end Falcone's influence within the prison system permanently. The situation culminates in a violent confrontation at the prison cage where Bolton attempts to eliminate Falcone. The intervention prevents Falcone's death, which is crucial for investigating connections to other criminal activities, particularly those involving Crane. A conversation reveals important details about Dr. Crane, who is described as someone with a strong interest in chemistry. The discussion suggests Crane has been conducting questionable activities in the facility, with mentions of the mysterious Rat King and potential recruitment for something called the Day of Wrath. Matches. Malone receives a visitor who claims to be trustworthy and mentions repaying a debt. The visitor provides an earpiece and indicates that a guard will release Malone from his cell soon. This appears to be part of a larger plan involving powerful connections within the facility. A mission is revealed involving Yamashiro, who is identified as the true Rat King rather than Flanagan. The situation is complicated by Yamashiro's disappearance and Bolton being in solitary confinement. This reveals deeper layers of corruption and power struggles within the facility. The investigation moves to Arkham Ward, focusing on tracking missing prisoners. A complex network of favors and connections is revealed through interactions with Joe at the commissary. The mission involves careful timing and strategic movement through the facility. A confrontation between Dr. Quinzel and Dr. Crane exposes serious concerns about unethical treatments and patient abuse. Quinzel accuses Crane of various misconduct, including abduction and inspiring grandiose delusions. The interaction ends with Quinzel being fired, suggesting institutional corruption. The investigation continues with deeper research into Dr. Quinzel and Dr. Crane. Their backgrounds reveal contrasting approaches to patient care. Quinzel maintains a belief in rehabilitation, while Crane's history suggests a more experimental and potentially dangerous approach to treatment. The situation intensifies with physical confrontations and attempts to maintain control over the facility. Evidence emerges connecting Dr. Crane to botanical research with potential significance. The investigation reveals complex layers of institutional corruption and questionable practices. The investigation concludes with the revelation that Crane has been secretly taking prisoners to his office. This confirms suspicions about his role in the disappearances and his connection to the Rat King identity, suggesting a larger conspiracy within Arkham. An intense confrontation occurs regarding Crane's actions of torturing a patient. Batman and another individual discuss taking down Crane together. There are observations about evil emerging from shadows and issues with respect among staff and patients in the facility. The group reaches an anti-chamber leading to Crane's office. They attempt to bypass security using an access card and decoder to crack Crane's updated security code. Upon entering, they discover Crane has disappeared with a patient. An earlier confrontation is described where Crane pulled a gun during an argument about patient torture. The situation escalated to violence involving a baseball bat and gunfire. Investigation reveals inconsistencies in the earlier account of the confrontation. Evidence shows the gun was knocked away before firing, and the bat was swung with extreme force into the desk, suggesting an intense adrenaline response rather than simple self-defense. Further investigation uncovers evidence of Crane's experiments, including fingerprints from Arnold Wesker and traces of acrolein, a toxic chemical Crane was using in combination with other substances. Discovery of Project Umbra files reveals months of secret experimental research Crane was conducting on inmates. The files have unique encryption and contain sensitive information about the experiments. A confrontation ensues involving Wesker and mentions of a Rat King figure. The situation becomes increasingly tense as they try to prevent harm to Wesker. After experiencing hallucinations from Crane's drug that affects the nervous system, the investigation continues. Analysis reveals the drug is a proprietary compound called Shadow, which has strong psychoactive properties and is too potent for therapeutic use. The scene shifts to an interrogation where an inmate named Malone is questioned about his connection to missing prisoners and the death of Yamashiro, revealed to be an undercover cop named Chris Nako. The situation escalates as legal consequences loom. There's urgency to investigate solitary confinement and connect with Falcone for assistance in uncovering the truth about the returned prisoner and the Rat King's identity. A conversation reveals that Commissioner Gordon visited earlier, accusing someone of being a cop killer. The discussion centers around Chris Nako, who is revealed to be GCPD. The accused denies any involvement in Nako's death, despite being suspicious of him. The conversation shifts to a request for help getting into solitary confinement, despite having just been released. The request is granted, noting that most of the Tiger guards are on payroll and can be managed. A scene at the commissary involves a delivery from Falcone, with Joe Malone taking over operations. The mission to solitary is confirmed to investigate a potential informant. Important information is shared about incriminating evidence against judges, stored in a vault in maximum security. The password Louisa is revealed as insurance against prosecution. The evidence includes audio and video materials. A confrontation occurs with guards who refuse entry to solitary despite Roman's authority. The situation escalates into physical conflict. After subduing the guards, a discussion reveals the presence of an informant that Tiger wants eliminated. The confrontation highlights tension between different factions within the prison. A negotiation takes place regarding access to a beaten prisoner, with claims about having valuable information about Falcon's upcoming trial and hidden secrets within the facility. A cryptic conversation occurs about the Rat King and his inner sanctum, revealing information about missing inmates and a mysterious day of wrath. The informant claims first-hand experience with the organization. The discussion continues with mystical descriptions of the Rat King's realm, mentioning blindfolds and a great horn. The informant offers to provide evidence of these encounters. A recording is obtained that requires analysis to determine its origin. This leads to tension, as some question the value of this evidence in confronting the Rat King. The scene transitions to preparation for a pre-trial hearing, including proper attire being provided. The atmosphere suggests mounting tension and urgency. During the pre-trial hearing, concerns about competency led to Dr. Crane's involvement. The proceedings are marked by strict rules and growing tension. A violent incident occurs during the hearing, resulting in injuries and chaos. This leads to immediate consequences and escalating situation within the facility. The narrative reveals connections to a larger plot involving an Ark and Promised Land. Cryptic messages suggest a deeper conspiracy at play. Investigation reveals a hidden World War II-era dock beneath Blackgate prison, connected to a cave system below the cell blocks. This discovery proves crucial to understanding the larger mystery. An undercover cop reveals being captured while investigating suspicious activities involving tigers who are actually working for rats. The cop mentions hearing Harvey Dent's voice and suggests involving Gordon in the investigation, though Batman insists the cop remain in place for safety. The situation deteriorates as connections between rats and tigers emerge. Yamashiro's intelligence suggests the Rat King has Harvey Dent held in the radio room with an impending strike planned at midnight. A revolutionary speech echoes through the vessel, promising liberation for the oppressed masses of Gotham and revenge against the city's corrupt elite. The message speaks of an impending dawn that will mark their day of retribution. A critical situation unfolds as the ship's controls are revealed to be sabotaged, setting it on a collision course with Gotham. Plans emerge to destroy the vessel to prevent catastrophe, with shocking revelations about the Rat King's identity. A flashback reveals Harvey Dent's campaign for district attorney at age 27, promising to end crime in Gotham within a year. His father expresses skepticism, suggesting a family tendency towards self-destruction, referencing past family trauma. The crisis escalates as Harvey is identified as the Rat King. The ship, now effectively a missile, threatens Gotham while a bomb situation compounds the danger. Communications reveal Harvey's misguided attempt to save the city. A confrontation leads to the bomb's dismantling, but the immediate threat of collision with GCPD headquarters remains. A crucial message about Joe Chill, connected to a past tragedy, emerges during this critical moment. An intense standoff occurs involving a promise made to a young boy affected by tragedy. The situation becomes a moral crucible about justice, revenge, and redemption. The aftermath is reported by Alexandra Brackett, crediting Harvey Dent and Batman with stopping the Day of Wrath. The report mentions an attack on Dent by Irving Matches Malone, suspected to be the Rat King, who remains at large. The conclusion reveals Harvey's deteriorating mental state, with his memories of events fading. A profound revelation about duality emerges, touching on themes of good and evil, right and wrong. A medical diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder is disclosed, marking a significant turning point in understanding the complex situation. Treatment options are discussed, though the prognosis remains uncertain.